He's just a bad man. It's a real bad man. He would kill his mother for $1.
The greatest country in the world, man. This is America, baby.
You heard that right. Don King would literally kill his own mother if it was for him to get $1. No one has had more influence in the big money sport of boxing over the years. At the same time, probably no individual in all of sports has been more controversial. Some observers call him an African-American role model, while others call him a ruthless scoundrel.
Don King's the coldest pimp ever. We was his hoes. We was the one that went and got money for him.
Regardless of one's perspective on King, the tale of his rise from a Cleveland street thug to the most illustrious promoter in boxing history is nothing short of amazing. Get ready as we reveal boxing's dirty business through the eyes of perhaps the most scandalous human being sports has ever seen. This is Boxing Matrix. Enjoy this video. Don King was born in Cleveland in 1931. When Don King was 10 years old, his steelworker father, Clarence King, was killed in a steel mill explosion, leaving his mother to raise Don and his 6 siblings. To support the family, his mom baked pies and roasted peanuts, which her sons would sell throughout the neighborhood. As a promotional gimmick, Don and his brothers would insert a slip of paper with a lucky number on it into each bag of peanuts. Those bags became popular among local gamblers, thereby making the King boys acquainted with some of the city's prominent racketeers. As a high school student, King became involved in Golden Gloves boxing. He quickly realized that he was better at hustling than fighting, and after being knocked out cold in one of his first matches, he made the decision to give up boxing as a career. Instead of going off to college, King stayed in Cleveland and began a numbers business on his own. King spent the next decade developing his illegal gambling operation. By the time he was 30, he was running one of Cleveland's biggest numbers games. He was making serious money, and he became a flamboyant figure in the town, possessing flashy clothes and flashy cars. He was also making enemies. In 1954, King killed a man named Hillary Brown, who was allegedly trying to rob one of his number stations. King successfully claimed self-defense in the killing. A few years later, Alex Shondor Burns, a gangster to whom King had refused to provide protection money, placed a bomb that exploded in front of King's home. King was shot in the back of the head with a 12-gauge shotgun just before he was scheduled to testify against Burns on charges of extortion. Amazingly, he escaped the assault with only minor injuries. In the late 1950s, he bought into a popular Cleveland supper club. It was there that he met a young Olympic boxing champion named Cassius Clay in 1960. King and Clay became friends, and King began following Clay all over the country to attend his fights.
Because when I first met him, I was a fan. I was going to each one of his fights.
King's life took a dramatic turn in 1966. That year, he got into an argument with an employee over a sum of money King felt Garrett owed him. Although accounts of the event vary, the fight became physical, and somehow in the course of the scuffle, Garrett's head hit the pavement.
I'll get you your body! You got my fucking
He eventually died from the injuries. While some witnesses claimed that King had brutally beaten the smaller, sicklier Garrett, King insisted that Garrett had attacked him and he was only acting in self-defense.
First of all, I came for the money that a man stole from me and received an attack upon my person with the intent to do me bodily harm.
King was convicted of manslaughter. When he was released on parole in 1971, King was, as he told a TV Guide interviewer in 1980, armed and dangerous. Determined to leave the numbers game behind him, King began to look for legitimate business opportunities. Around this time, he adopted his trademark hairstyle, a gravity-defying affair that he has repeatedly maintained happened by itself as a sign from God. In 1972, he organized a benefit to help Cleveland's only black hospital. For the benefit's main attraction, he was able to lure Muhammad Ali, into fighting a 10-round exhibition against 4 different opponents.
We're losing this hospital, the only one that serves black people and poor white people. All right, I called Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali said yes, he came right on in to help out.
The event raised over $80,000 for the hospital. It also convinced King that there was money to be made as a boxing promoter and manager. King's big breakthrough as a promoter came in 1974, when he was one of the main architects, along with closed-circuit television company Video Techniques, of the famous Rumble in the Jungle heavyweight title fight between Ali and champion George Foreman in Zaire. King used his natural salesmanship to talk the government of Zaire into putting up more than $10 million in financial backing for the event.
About President Mobutu of Zaire. Now, Mobutu is a huge fan of Ali's, and he's willing to put up the cash if we hold the fight in Zaire.
For this fight to be a huge success, the icon of the black Americans, Muhammad Ali, had to put on a performance that would shock the whole world.
A tremendous left hook. Going to stop Ali. Here we go, Ali, quickly.
When the bell rang, Foreman began to pound Ali with his signature sledgehammer blows. But the older man simply backed himself up against the ropes and used his arms to block as many hits as he could, as he was confident that he could wait Foreman out.
In the round. Ali, face left, goes to straight left jab thrown by Foreman. Has Ali in the corner. Ali dances back. Foreman tries to work the body. Neither one of those punches did any damage. None of those punches are doing any damage at all. Pace is definitely slowed down in round 2. Oh, a great left hand. He continues to talk. Definitely serious. Tremendous combination. Foreman backing Ali to the ropes. There's a vicious left hook to the body. Foreman setting him up against the ropes. What a vicious fast.
By the 5th round, the youngster began to tire. His powerful punches became glances and taps.
Works downstairs, goes downstairs. Good left hook by Ali. Good left hook by Foreman. Anyway. Careful. Did some real good shots to the body thrown by Foreman. Good wrist left, the combination by Ali. That right. Ali jumping his back.
And in the 8th, like a bee harassing a bear, Ali peeled himself off the ropes and unleashed a barrage of quick punches that seemed to bewilder the exhausted Foreman.
Very even fight. Ali, a sneaky right hand. Another sneaky right hand. This time he works over the shoulder of Foreman. The combination.
The referee had counted him out. The fight was a huge financial success, and it vaulted King to the top of the heap among boxing promoters. Since that time, he has had a hand in the pot of major boxing matches. King followed up the Rumble in the Jungle with the 1975 Thrilla in Manila between Ali and Joe Frazier, the third and final fight between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier that would determine who would be the victorious one of the trilogy.
Him said, how long you gonna dance? He hope I stop dancing. Well, what if I don't stop dancing? That means you finish, right? You just hope I don't keep dancing. You're admitting if I'm dancing, you're through, right? All right, now I'm gonna dance forever.
In order to accommodate an international viewing audience, the fight took place at 10 a.m. local time. Though it served the business interest of the fight, it was detrimental to the fighters. Ali's ring physician said, at 10 a.m. the stickiness of the night was still there, but cooked by the sun. So what you got is boiling water for atmosphere. Ali was sharp from the start, as Frazier couldn't bob and weave his way inside Ali's jab.
Frazier's smiling. Ali opening up. Frazier keeps smiling as he corners Ali to the rope.
The first 2 rounds were won by Ali, who kept Frazier in the center of the ring and followed his left jab with several straight right hands.
Frazier still smiling as he pours in.
During the 5th round, Frazier's timing and the rhythm of his bobbing and weaving improved. He was able to avoid the oncoming fists of the champion, and for the first time in the fight, land solid left hooks to Ali's head.
Using his right hand a little more now.
Seeing the results of round 14, Eddie Futch decided to stop the fight between rounds rather than risk a similar or worse fate for Frazier in the 15th.
Frazier's hurt. Frazier's badly hurt. Going to be over. It's all over.
King promoted several more of Ali's championship fights, cementing his position as the sport's leading matchmaker. Although Ali eventually defected to the camp of King's arch-rival, Bob Arum of Top Rank, many more top-ranked boxers were waiting in line to sign up with King. Larry Holmes, who dominated the heavyweight division in the post-Ali years, was one of them. Several boxers expressed a preference for doing business with a fellow African American, and King, the only top-line black promoter in the business, was more than happy to exploit that preference. Even as a legitimate business person, King was unable to avoid scandal and controversy. In 1977, a series of fights set up by King with the ABC television network were canceled when the FBI turned up evidence that King had doctored some of the fighters' records. In the early 1980s, he again received the FBI's attention as part of a large-scale investigation of the entire boxing industry. Although all sorts of shady practices were uncovered, no charges against King came out of that investigation.
He put on extravagant events, marquee events, in way off places like Zaire, where it brought attention to where we're still talking about it today.
Yeah.
So I guess that's your answer. He has helped. Yeah, I mean, you can't get around it.
In the late 1980s, Mike Tyson ushered in a new era of heavyweight dominance and money-making for King. In the early 1990s, King suffered a handful of setbacks. More and more boxers went public with claims that King had cheated them. Larry Holmes was widely quoted as saying that King looks black, lives white, and thinks green. Witherspoon sued King and came away with a sizable settlement.
How can Don intimidate you?
He has a lot of money. Money is power. And I'm sure everybody knows what can come after that. I mean...
King's biggest meal ticket, Tyson, lost the championship to the virtually unknown James Buster Douglas.
We'll finish things in the uppercut. What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
And then went to prison. As usual, however, King managed to emerge from it all relatively unscathed. Tyson was released from prison and began earning big money once again for both himself and King. Spurned by HBO, King turned to rival Showtime, with whom he formed a joint venture called King Vision to air Tyson's fights on pay-per-view. Even at the age of 92, King still promotes boxing fights, with the biggest addition to his roster being Adrian Broner. The line between a successful business person and a successful scam artist is often a blurry one. Regardless of which side of that line Don King eventually falls on in the eyes of the public when his career is over, there is no question that he will have contributed something of value to boxing in at least two ways. More people certainly receive far more money from a boxing match than was ever the case before his arrival on the scene. And his charisma has made the business end of the sport almost as interesting to observe as the fights themselves. A lot of people think the boxing world would be better off without King around. But while it's possible that boxing would be a cleaner sport without him, there's no doubt that it would be a less colorful one.
The greatest country in the world, man. This is America, baby.
This is Boxing Matrix. Thank you for watching.